ever noticed betrayal rarely comes from strangers? It comes from the ones sitting closest to you. On September 18, the energy around you could test your trust in ways you never expected. The person you confide in most may unknowingly hold back your breakthrough. Stay alert, because silence could be the shield that protects your destiny. Every season of spiritual growth brings with it a moment where your faith, wisdom, and discernment are tested, and September 18 carries that weight for the chosen ones. Dates like these are not random. They often align with deeper energetic shifts in the spiritual realm. Think of them as checkpoints on your journey, where the universe or the divine pauses your path to see if you've truly learned the lessons that will prepare you for the next breakthrough. This is not meant to scare you, but to prepare you, because tests are never given to destroy you. They are designed to reveal how far you've come. On September 18, the test many chosen ones will face revolves around trust. Specifically, it's about who you allow access to your heart, your thoughts, and your plans. The energy of this day intensifies the consequences of misplaced trust. A word spoken to the wrong person, a dream revealed too soon, or confidence shared with someone whose intentions aren't pure could ripple out in unexpected ways. That's why spiritual sensitivity is so crucial right now. You're not just protecting yourself from betrayal, you're protecting the fragile seeds of your destiny before they fully take root. This test is subtle. It doesn't always come in the form of outright betrayal. Sometimes it looks like an innocent question from someone close to you, a probing curiosity from a friend, or even a comforting voice urging you to share what's on your mind. The challenge lies in recognizing that not every ear is meant to hear your vision, no matter how close they are to you. The test asks, will you choose wisdom over impulse? Will you hold back when everything in you wants to open up? History shows us that great callings often come with great tests of trust. Think of Joseph, who shared his dream with his brothers only to be sold into slavery, or leaders and prophets throughout time who were brought down not by distant enemies, but by the very people they considered allies. September 18 carries echoes of these lessons. The energy of the day isn't here to harm you, it's here to sharpen your discernment so you don't repeat the mistakes of those who came before. What makes this test powerful is that it's disguised as something ordinary. A conversation, a casual question, or a moment of vulnerability might not look dangerous at all. Yet if you pass this test, if you guard your vision, remain watchful, and keep your spirit aligned, you'll not only protect your breakthrough, but also step into a higher level of spiritual maturity. The test of September 18 is not about paranoia. It's about trust, trusting your intuition, trusting the divine, and trusting that silence can be more powerful than words. One of the greatest traps for the chosen ones is not hidden in distant enemies or obvious opposition. It's hidden in the people you are most comfortable with. Familiarity is powerful. It lowers your guard, it convinces you that no harm can come from those you share life with, and it creates the illusion that intimacy equals loyalty. But history, psychology, and spiritual wisdom all reveal the same truth. Betrayal almost never comes from the outside, it comes from within the circle you trust most. Why is this? Because those closest to you have access that strangers do not. They know your fears, your habits, your weaknesses, and your deepest hopes. They know exactly how to touch the parts of you that matter most. This access is not always misused deliberately, but even innocent mishandling of your trust can cause damage. A casual word of discouragement, a subtle comparison, or an unsupportive reaction from someone familiar can carry far more weight than 1,000 criticisms from outsiders. The people you love can unintentionally hold you back, simply because they cannot see the vision meant for you. There's also another layer. The human heart often resists the success of those it has grown too used to. When people have known you from your humble beginnings, they may find it difficult to accept your growth. To them, you are still the child, the classmate, the co-worker, the sibling they remember, not the person who is evolving into a greater purpose. Familiarity blinds them, and without even realizing it, they may try to keep you within the version of yourself that makes them comfortable. That resistance, whether spoken or unspoken, can slow you down if you are not discerning. Think of it like a garden. If you plant seeds in soil that is too crowded or filled with weeds, growth will be stunted no matter how much light shines. Similarly, if your vision is placed in an environment where familiarity dominates, the people around you may choke out your growth before it can even break the surface. This is why many breakthroughs require separation, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. The danger of familiarity is not about turning against your loved ones. It's about recognizing that closeness does not always equal clarity. Someone can care about you deeply and still not have the ability to understand your spiritual journey. Your responsibility as a chosen one is to know when to share and when to hold back, when to stay close and when to step back. If you confuse familiarity with trustworthiness, you risk exposing your destiny to people who may, knowingly or unknowingly, undermine it. When you understand this truth, you stop expecting everyone around you to validate your calling. Instead, you stand strong, knowing that some paths must be walked alone and some visions must be guarded until the right time. That's the wisdom that protects you from the silent danger of familiarity. Envy is one of the most dangerous forces a chosen one can face, and the most painful truth is this: it often comes from those closest to you. We usually think of envy as something distant, an emotion carried by rivals, critics, or people who dislike us. But in reality, envy is far more subtle and personal. It is most dangerous when it comes wrapped in the smile of a loved one or the encouragement of a close friend. Why does envy thrive among those nearest to us? Because they have the best view of your journey. They've watched you grow, witnessed your struggles, and sometimes even walked alongside you in seasons of hardship. Yet when your breakthrough begins to manifest, when doors start opening or your light begins to shine, something in their spirit may shift. Instead of celebrating, they quietly compare. Instead of supporting, they secretly resent. They might not even admit it to themselves, but their actions will reveal it. Envy among loved ones often hides behind subtle behaviors. It could look like downplaying your achievements. It's not that big of a deal. It could sound like discouraging your vision. Are you sure that's realistic? Or it could feel like a sudden distance, as if your success makes them uncomfortable. Sometimes, envy disguises itself as concern, cloaking jealousy in words of caution. I just don't want you to get hurt. At first, these responses seem harmless, but repeated often enough, they chip away at your confidence. The most dangerous thing about hidden envy is that it rarely announces itself openly. A stranger's criticism is easy to ignore, but when someone you love shows disapproval, even in small ways, it cuts deeper. Their words carry weight precisely because of their closeness. That is why envy from loved ones can be more destructive than open hostility from outsiders. It confuses your heart, makes you question your worth, and can even cause you to sabotage your own progress out of guilt or doubt. But here, the key: envy is not always malicious. Sometimes it's born from people's unhealed wounds, their regrets, their unfulfilled dreams, or their own feelings of inadequacy. When they see you rise, it reflects back the parts of themselves they haven't faced. That doesn't excuse their behavior, but it explains why you must guard your spirit. It reminds you that not every person who claps for you is truly happy for you. For the chosen ones, recognizing hidden envy is essential. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off or becoming suspicious of every loved one. It means sharpening your discernment. Pay attention to patterns, listen beyond the words, and observe the energy behind them. Most importantly, don't shrink your light to make others comfortable. If your success triggers envy, that's their battle, not yours. Your responsibility is to keep growing, to guard your destiny, and to trust that those meant to be with you will celebrate, not compete. Not every threat to your destiny looks like betrayal or open envy. Sometimes, the danger comes from people who drain your spirit without ever intending to. These are the energy vampires in disguise, those who leave you feeling exhausted, heavy, or spiritually distracted after every interaction. And here's the tricky part: they are often the people closest to you, the ones you wouldn't suspect, because their draining presence doesn't come with malice, it comes with constant need. Energy vampires can take many forms. There's the friend who always calls when they're in crisis, but never shows up when you need them. There's the relative who constantly dumps their negativity on you, turning every conversation into a cycle of complaint and hopelessness. There's the loved one who subtly competes with you, always steering the focus back to themselves. At first, you may dismiss this behavior as harmless or just their personality, but over time, these interactions chip away at your energy and clarity. The danger is subtle because it feels like normal relationship dynamics. You convince yourself they don't mean harm, they just need me. And while compassion is a virtue, unchecked compassion can become a trap. The more you pour out without boundaries, the less energy you have to focus on your calling. Think of your spirit as a lamp. You need oil to keep the flame burning. Energy vampires are like small leaks in the container. They don't blow out your flame immediately, but they slowly drain your reserves until there's nothing left to fuel your purpose. What makes them in disguise is the fact that they often don't realize they are draining you. Some genuinely believe they're bonding with you by sharing every problem, while others may think they're seeking your advice. But the effect on your spirit is the same. You leave drained, distracted, or doubting yourself. And if this happens on a spiritually significant day like September 18, when your discernment and energy are most needed, the damage can be magnified. The solution is not to abandon everyone, but to practice spiritual boundaries. Learn to say no when your spirit feels heavy. Recognize when you're giving more than you receive. Pay attention to how you feel after interactions. Do you feel uplifted or do you feel emptied? These are signs that tell you where to invest your energy and where to step back. Being a chosen one means recognizing that not everyone deserves access to your spiritual energy, even if their intentions seem harmless. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's stewardship. You can't pour into your destiny if you're constantly drained by those who refuse to carry their own weight. Guard your flame, because the higher your calling, the more important it is to stay fueled and focused. One of the greatest spiritual disciplines a chosen one can master is the art of silence. It may feel natural to share your excitement when a new vision takes shape in your heart, or when you feel a breakthrough stirring in your spirit. After all, we crave connection, and sharing feels like a way to affirm what's happening within us. But silence is often the shield that protects destiny. Speaking too soon can expose your dreams to resistance, doubt, or even sabotage before they've had a chance to take root. Think of your destiny like a seed planted in soil. When it's freshly sown, it's fragile, too delicate to withstand harsh winds or careless footsteps. The seed needs time underground, hidden from sight, drawing strength and establishing roots before it can emerge. If you dig it up too early, it won't survive. The same is true for your vision. When you reveal it prematurely, you risk exposing it to voices that don't understand it, to doubts that weaken it, or to envy that seeks to smother it. Silence gives your seed space to grow strong before it's exposed to the world. This doesn't mean you never share your plans or keep everyone at a distance. It means you learn discernment, knowing what to reveal, when to reveal it, and to whom. Some things are meant to be between you and God until they are ready. The greatest breakthroughs often happen in secret before they are revealed in glory. Jesus himself often told people not to announce miracles immediately, not because the miracles weren't real, but because timing matters. A blessing revealed too early can be attacked before it's ready to stand. Silence also protects you from unnecessary pressure. When you announce every step, you invite opinions, expectations, and judgments that can distract you from the true process of growth. Suddenly, instead of focusing on nurturing your calling, you're burdened by trying to prove something to others. By keeping certain things private, you free yourself from the weight of outside validation and give yourself permission to grow at your own pace. And silence doesn't only protect you from others, it strengthens you within. When you hold something sacred in your heart, you are reminded daily that it's yours to steward. Not something to perform for approval. Silence builds intimacy with your Creator, sharpening your ability to hear guidance without the interference of human voices. It allows you to walk with clarity, knowing your steps are divinely led, not crowd-directed. The truth is, silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to announce my destiny, I need to live it. For the chosen ones, silence is not about secrecy born from fear, it's about protection born from understanding. Guard your words, and you guard your breakthrough. Some days carry a weight that goes beyond the ordinary. For the chosen ones, certain dates feel charged with unusual energy, as if the atmosphere itself is humming with unseen activity. September 18 is one of those days, and understanding how to move through it with spiritual sensitivity can mean the difference between alignment and misdirection. Spiritual sensitivity simply means awareness, recognizing when the air around you feels different, when your emotions seem heightened, or when your intuition whispers louder than usual. On days like these, Even small decisions can have big consequences. A conversation that feels casual might actually be a test of trust. A dream that seems random might hold a symbolic message. An unexpected encounter could carry meaning far deeper than coincidence. The spiritually sensitive person doesn't brush these things aside. They lean in and listen. Think of it like tuning a radio. On most days, the static of life makes it hard to hear the signal clearly, but on key dates, the signal is stronger. If you're paying attention, you'll hear guidance more distinctly. That's why so many chosen ones report vivid dreams, repeating number patterns, or sudden shifts in energy around spiritually significant days. These are not accidents, they're signals meant to direct you. But heightened energy also comes with heightened vulnerability. When the spiritual atmosphere is stirred, distractions, conflicts, and emotional turbulence can intensify. That's why on days like September 18, protecting your focus becomes critical. If you let yourself get swept into arguments, drained by negative influences, or distracted by trivial matters, you risk missing the clarity being offered. Practical preparation helps. Start the day grounded, through prayer, meditation, or even simple silence before the rush begins. Be intentional about the spaces you enter and the voices you allow near you. Pay attention to your body. If you feel tension, unease, or fatigue without explanation, it may not just be physical. Your spirit might be picking up on energies around you. Don't ignore those signals. Remember too that not every shift is negative. High-energy days are often opportunities for breakthroughs, insights, and divine alignment. But to access them, you must stay tuned. Journaling what you notice, recording dreams, or reflecting on sudden thoughts can reveal patterns you'd miss otherwise. What feels like a random nudge could be the very key to your next step. For the chosen ones, spiritual sensitivity is not superstition, it's survival. It's how you navigate hidden currents that others overlook. On September 18, treat the day as sacred space, a time to listen more, speak less, and stay alert to the signs around you. By moving with awareness, you turn a spiritually charged day into a stepping stone toward your destiny, rather than a stumbling block in your journey. If there's one lesson the lives of prophets, leaders, and visionaries teach us, it's that betrayal almost always comes from the inner circle. This pattern repeats across history and scripture, reminding the chosen ones that trust must be guarded carefully. When you study these stories, you begin to see that betrayal isn't random. It's almost a requirement of destiny. Every great calling attracts a test, and that test often comes through those closest to you. Take the story of Joseph. Out of love, he shared his dream with his brothers, telling them that one day they would bow before him. Instead of celebrating, they plotted against him, throwing him into a pit and selling him into slavery. The very people who should have protected his vision tried to destroy it, yet that betrayal became the path to his elevation. Had Joseph not faced the pain of his brothers' envy, he may never have risen to his position of influence in Egypt. Or consider Jesus. His greatest betrayal didn't come from the Pharisees or the Roman soldiers, but from Judas, one of the 12 who walked with him daily. Judas knew his heart, his movements, his teachings, yet he sold him out for silver. The betrayal didn't just sting personally, it was the catalyst that set the greater plan in motion. Without Judas, the crucifixion, and ultimately the resurrection, would not have unfolded as it did. History outside Scripture tells the same story. Great kings were often undone not by enemy armies, but by advisors and confidants who sought power for themselves. Leaders of movements were not always defeated by opposing forces, but by fractures within their own ranks. The closer a person is to you, the more damage their betrayal can cause, but also the more that test reveals your strength. Why does this pattern keep repeating? Because betrayal forces clarity. It strips away illusions about who is truly for you and who is not. It teaches you discernment in a way comfort never could. For the chosen ones, betrayal is not just a wound, it's a teacher. It sharpens your ability to hear God above the noise of human voices. It teaches you to rely less on approval and more on divine direction. When we look at September 18 through this lens, the message is clear. Betrayal, or at least the temptation of it, may surface. But instead of panicking, you can remember the pattern. What feels like an attack is often a doorway to advancement. The stories of Joseph and Jesus remind us that even when betrayal comes, it cannot cancel destiny. In fact, it often accelerates it. The chosen ones are not called to live in paranoia, but in wisdom. Betrayal is painful, yes, but it's also proof that your calling carries weight. If those in history could endure it and rise higher, so can you. Not all betrayal shows itself in obvious ways. Sometimes, the closest people don't come against you with open hostility, they use emotional manipulation. And because they are familiar to you, their words carry power, often slipping past your defenses. Recognizing these tactics is crucial for the chosen ones because manipulation thrives in the shadows of love, loyalty, and trust. One of the most common tactics is guilt tripping. It sounds like, if you really trusted me, you'd tell me everything, or after all I've done for you, why are you shutting me out? These words twist your natural desire to honor relationships, making you feel like silence is betrayal. But the truth is, silence is not disloyalty, it's discernment. Guilt-tripping manipulates your kindness, trying to pry open doors that should remain closed. Another tactic is flattery with an agenda. At first, it feels uplifting. You're so wise, you always know what to do, tell me your plan. Or, you inspire me, I want to hear everything you're working on. Flattery feels like praise, but often it's a strategy to gain access. The danger is that it disarms you, lowering your guard until you reveal things that should remain hidden. Then there's subtle sabotage disguised as advice. This sounds like, I don't think that's realistic, or I'm only telling you this because I care. On the surface, it looks like concern, but in reality, it plants doubt. The manipulator positions themselves as a voice of reason, but their words are designed to weaken your confidence. By speaking caution at the wrong moment, they delay or derail your momentum. A more insidious tactic is emotional dependency. This happens when someone constantly leans on you for support, subtly making you feel responsible for their happiness. They create a cycle where you hesitate to make progress because you fear leaving them behind. This kind of manipulation doesn't always come with malice. It can be unconscious, but it still drains your focus, binding you emotionally to their needs at the cost of your calling. What makes emotional manipulation so dangerous is its invisibility. Unlike direct conflict, it doesn't raise alarms. You don't walk away thinking, I've been attacked. Instead, you leave second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're being unfair, selfish, or ungrateful. That self-doubt is exactly what manipulation feeds on. The solution is awareness. Begin to ask yourself, do I feel empowered after conversations with this person, or do I feel small? Do their words push me forward, or do they hold me back under the guise of care? Once you name manipulation for what it is, its power over you breaks. The chosen ones cannot afford to be naive. Love your people, but stay discerning. Not every word spoken with a smile is for your good. By recognizing these tactics, you reclaim your strength, protect your vision, and walk boldly in your destiny without being swayed by subtle emotional chains. One of the most fascinating and protective gifts given to the chosen ones is the ability to sense betrayal before it happens. This sensitivity often shows up in dreams, sudden insights, or strange signs that seem out of place but carry hidden meaning. Many dismiss these moments as coincidence, yet they are often spiritual warnings designed to shield you from harm. Dreams are one of the clearest ways the subconscious, or even the divine, communicates with us. When betrayal is near, you might dream of snakes, spiders, or shadows following you. These symbols often represent hidden enemies or entanglements. You may dream of broken mirrors, locked doors, or someone taking something from your hands, images that point toward loss, deception, or blocked opportunities. At times, you might even see the face of the person connected to the coming disappointment, though usually in a distorted or unsettling way. These aren't nightmares to scare you, they are previews meant to awaken your discernment. Beyond dreams, betrayal is often preceded by synchronicities, repeating signs that catch your attention. Perhaps you notice the same number pattern repeatedly, like 111 or 444, urging you to pay attention to your surroundings. Or you keep hearing a certain phrase in unexpected places, reminding you to stay cautious. Even small disruptions, like sudden disagreements, unusual accidents, or an unexplainable heaviness in your spirit, can serve as signals that something is not right. Another powerful warning comes through your body. Chosen ones often feel betrayal before they see it. A knot in your stomach, sudden unease when someone speaks, or unexplained fatigue after being around a particular person. All of these can be signs your spirit is picking up danger your mind hasn't yet processed. Spiritual sensitivity operates like an inner alarm system, alerting you to threats long before they surface. The challenge is not the lack of signs, it's whether you pay attention. Too often, we dismiss these signals as just my imagination. We silence our intuition because we don't want to believe someone close to us could cause harm. Yet ignoring these warnings doesn't erase them. It only blinds us to protection that was already offered. The wisest response is to record what you see and feel. Keep a journal of your dreams and unusual experiences, noting patterns and connections. Over time, you'll learn the language of your spirit, the unique way warnings come to you. What seems random today may make perfect sense tomorrow. For the chosen ones, dreams and signs are not paranoia, they are preparation. They remind you that betrayal is rarely sudden. It's often preceded by signals if you're willing to notice. When you honor those signs, you step into a posture of vigilance, ready to guard your destiny with both wisdom and courage. For the chosen ones, boundaries are not optional, they are essential armor. Too often, we confuse love with unlimited access, believing that if we truly care for someone, we must always be available, always share, always give. But in reality, a destiny without boundaries is like a castle without walls, beautiful on the inside, but vulnerable to every attack from the outside. Boundaries protect what is sacred. They create clear lines that say, this is how far you may go and no further. When you establish healthy boundaries, you are not rejecting people, you are protecting the space where your spirit, vision, and peace can flourish. Without them, even well-meaning loved ones can unknowingly trample your growth. With them, you train others to respect your time, energy, and purpose. Consider how a flame burns stronger inside a lantern. The glass doesn't diminish its light, it shields it from the winds that could blow it out. In the same way, boundaries don't dim your calling, they preserve it against unnecessary distractions and emotional storms. They allow your energy to stay focused where it matters most, rather than scattered across everyone else's demands. But boundaries aren't only about time or space, they are also about information. Choosing what you share and with whom is a boundary in itself. Not every friend deserves access to your vision. Not every relative needs to know the details of your struggles. Protecting your words is as important as protecting your schedule. A careless conversation can leak your energy just as quickly as overcommitment. The challenge for many chosen ones is guilt. You may fear that setting limits makes you selfish or unloving, but boundaries are not about shutting people out, they're about keeping your destiny safe. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowds to rest, pray, and refocus. If the Son of God needed boundaries, so do you. Protecting your spirit is not selfish, it is obedience to the higher calling on your life. Practical boundaries might look like this: limiting how much time you spend with those who drain you, saying no without apology when your peace is at risk, or keeping your dreams to yourself until they are strong enough to withstand opposition. These small acts of courage create a shield around your destiny, ensuring that what is planted within you has room to grow. When you embrace boundaries as armor, you stop living on defense and start living with intention. You become less reactive to other people's pulls and more focused on the divine path before you. And as your boundaries strengthen, so does your discernment. You'll quickly recognize who respects your space and who tries to cross it. For the chosen ones, boundaries are not barriers to love. They are proof of wisdom, a sign that you value your calling enough to protect it. And in protecting it, you ensure that your breakthrough remains yours to carry, not someone else's to control. One of the hardest challenges for the chosen ones is discerning whether a difficult situation is a divine test or a spiritual attack. At first glance, they can look the same: setbacks, disappointments, or betrayals. But their purposes are very different, and recognizing the difference is what allows you to respond with wisdom instead of confusion. A test is divinely permitted. It doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to refine you. Tests stretch your patience, strengthen your character, and reveal whether you're ready for the next level of your calling. For example, you may feel tempted to overshare with someone close, and the test is whether you'll choose silence instead. You may face rejection, but the test is whether you'll let it define you or press forward anyway. Tests often feel uncomfortable, but deep down, you sense they are shaping you rather than crushing you. An attack, on the other hand, carries a different energy. Attacks aim to derail, distract, and discourage. They bring confusion instead of clarity, chaos instead of growth. They often come in waves, hitting multiple areas of your life at once: your health, your relationships, your finances, leaving you feeling drained and hopeless. Attacks are not about building you, they are about breaking you. So how do you tell the difference? Start by looking at the fruit. A test, even when painful, produces growth. You come out stronger, wiser, or more discerning. An attack leaves you weakened, anxious, or paralyzed, with no lesson except destruction. Another clue is timing. Tests often arrive right before a breakthrough, when God is preparing you for greater responsibility. Attacks often strike when you're already weary, hoping to push you into giving up. Your response should also differ. When it's a test, lean into discipline, patience, silence, and faith. Ask, what lesson am I meant to learn here? When it's an attack, lean into warfare, prayer, protection, and cutting off toxic influences. Ask, what do I need to rebuke or resist right now? Both situations require awareness, but wisdom tells you whether to endure quietly or fight boldly. The story of Job shows a divine test. He lost everything, but it refined his faith and doubled his blessings in the end. By contrast, when Nehemiah rebuilt the wall, he faced attacks from enemies trying to distract and intimidate him into stopping. Both were trials, but their purposes were different, and so were the responses required. For the chosen ones, confusion is the enemy's greatest weapon. If you mistake a test for an attack, you might fight what God is using to grow you. If you mistake an attack for a test, you might passively endure something you were meant to resist. That's why discernment is everything. Stay connected to the divine, and you'll sense the difference. Tests refine, attacks destroy, and once you know which one you're facing, you'll know exactly how to stand. For the chosen ones, words are not just sounds, they are containers of power. Every time you share your vision, your plan, or even your struggles, you release spiritual energy into the atmosphere. That's why oversharing comes with a heavy price. What feels like innocent conversation can end up scattering the very seeds of your destiny. Oversharing is dangerous because not every listener has the capacity or the purity of heart to carry what you give them. Some will unintentionally discourage you, planting doubt with a single phrase like, "Are you sure that's realistic?" Others may secretly resent you, allowing envy to seep into their response. Even those who love you may project their own fears onto your path, creating unnecessary hesitation. Each of these reactions weakens the momentum of your vision, not because your calling isn't real, but because you allowed it to be exposed too soon. Think of it like fire. When it's contained, fire can heat, protect, and illuminate, but when it's scattered carelessly, it burns out before it fulfills its purpose. In the same way, your destiny loses strength when shared without discernment. The more people you invite into your process, the more room there is for doubt, negativity, and sabotage to creep in. Oversharing also creates spiritual leaks. The energy that should be fueling your growth gets siphoned off into conversations, leaving you drained instead of focused. You may notice that after talking too much about your plans, you suddenly feel less motivated to act on them. That's because speaking without discernment often gives you the illusion of progress, while in reality, nothing has been built. You talked it out instead of walking it out. The price can also be delays. Words open doors in the spiritual realm, both for good and for harm. By revealing too much too soon, you sometimes give the enemy access to interfere with what was meant to unfold smoothly. It's not that your blessing will be stolen, it cannot be, but it can be delayed while you recover from the distractions and resistance you unintentionally invited. For the chosen ones, the solution is not isolation but wisdom. Share selectively, ask yourself, does this person need to know this? Do they have the faith to carry what I'm carrying? If the answer is no, hold it close. Some of your greatest breakthroughs are meant to be hidden until they are undeniable. Even Joseph's dream, had it been kept quiet, might have unfolded without the detour of betrayal. Oversharing is costly, but silence is protective. Guard your words the way you would guard treasure, because in many ways they are treasure. What you reveal shapes your future, and what you conceal in wisdom strengthens your destiny until it is ready to shine. One of the hardest truths for the chosen ones to accept is that parts of the journey must be walked alone. Not everyone can go where you are going, not everyone can understand the vision you carry, and not everyone will have the strength to support you in the seasons when it matters most. At first, this solitude can feel heavy. You may ask yourself, why do I feel so isolated if I'm chosen for something great? But the truth is, walking alone is not a curse, it is preparation. Solitude teaches you reliance on the divine instead of dependence on people. When you have no one else to lean on, you discover strength within yourself that you never knew existed. You begin to hear guidance more clearly because the noise of other voices has faded. What once felt like loneliness transforms into a sacred silence where wisdom grows. Think of the desert experiences of prophets and leaders throughout history, seasons where they were set apart, stripped of comfort, and taught to rely only on God. It was in those solitary places that their greatest strength was forged. Walking alone also protects your vision. The fewer people you involve in your most delicate stages, the less room there is for interference, doubt, or sabotage. Isolation is sometimes the divine way of building a protective wall around your destiny until it's ready to be revealed. Like a sculptor working in secret before unveiling the masterpiece, solitude allows your calling to take shape away from critical eyes. But solitude is not meant to be feared, it's meant to be embraced. Instead of asking, why am I alone? Begin asking, what am I being prepared for in this quiet season? That shift in perspective turns loneliness into empowerment. You'll find that being alone does not mean being abandoned. You are accompanied by divine presence, strengthened by faith, and guided by intuition. Another hidden blessing of walking alone is freedom. When you no longer rely on others for approval, you're free to move boldly in your calling without hesitation. Solitude teaches you to value your own voice, to trust your inner compass, and to stop seeking validation from those who cannot understand your path. In time, you'll realize that walking alone is not about isolation from people, it's about alignment with purpose. For the chosen ones, solitude is never wasted. It builds resilience, sharpens discernment, and deepens your spiritual connection. The fear of walking alone fades once you recognize it as a divine classroom. When you step into your destiny fully, you'll see that the strength you carry was born not in the crowd, but in the quiet. Walking alone isn't punishment, it's proof that your path is unique and too important to be shaped by the wrong hands. For the chosen ones, September 18 is not just another date on the calendar, it is a gateway. A day where the spiritual atmosphere thins, choices carry greater weight, and the unseen realm seems to lean in closer. While much of the conversation has focused on the dangers of misplaced trust, there's another side to this moment, opportunity. If you approach it with awareness, September 18 can become a turning point, accelerating your growth and unlocking doors that were once closed. Every gateway comes with two options. You either step through into higher alignment or remain where you are. That is why the day feels so charged. The test of trust is not meant to scare you, but to refine you, preparing you for the transition that lies ahead. By choosing wisdom, guarding your words, and protecting your energy, you position yourself to cross the threshold without unnecessary delays. Think of it as a spiritual exam. If you pass, you move forward to a new level of maturity and authority. If you stumble, it's not the end. You'll simply find yourself circling the same lessons until you're ready to advance. What makes September 18 unique is its role as a mirror. It reflects back to you the progress you've made in discernment. Are you still quick to share with anyone who asks? Do you still doubt your intuition? Do you still allow others' opinions to weigh more than your inner guidance? Or have you learned to hold your peace, to trust divine timing, and to stay anchored even when curiosity or pressure rises? The answers reveal whether you are prepared for the breakthrough that follows. This day is also an invitation to reframe betrayal and testing. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, see them as signposts. The enemy does not fight what is not threatening. Resistance is proof that you carry something worth protecting. The very fact that September 18 feels significant is evidence that a shift is near. When you embrace the challenge, you transform it from a stumbling block into a stepping stone. Most importantly, treat September 18 as a sacred appointment. Begin the day with intention through prayer, meditation, or reflection. Ask for clarity, strength, and discernment. Write down your insights. Guard your spirit from unnecessary noise. And most of all, remind yourself that you are not walking into this day unprepared. You are equipped, strengthened, and divinely protected. In the end, September 18 is not about fear of betrayal, but about clarity of purpose. It is a gateway that invites you to step boldly into the next season of your destiny. Pass the test, and you don't just survive, you ascend.